It's the last trading day of the first quarter of the year 2024, and the real question is what to expect in quarter two as we go over monthly and quarterly statistics, especially for not pre-election, but real election years. Other than that, I want to give a public service announcement. For the love of God, stop yelling at Elsa when you're doing support requests. I'm the only one who's allowed to yell at her. You hear that? You hear that? You damn lazy woman! Had enough of that. Had enough. I don't pay you 5 dog with hat coins for nothing. If you just sit there and laugh. Disgusting. Anyways, now that we've gotten through that, let's jump into the chart action right here. First things first, before we get into the more long-term analysis, I do want to go back to the daily HPDR. And in this case, we did see the median band tested from yesterday's video. That was that move down to just below 68,400 in this case, and thus far has bounced off that region. So in the more short term, this is where things become a little bit more delicate. I don't have a super strong opinion of what happens today. However, with the way that volatility is now expanding rather than contracting compared to yesterday, there actually is a pretty damn good chance that Bitcoin does, try another upside move. Still, however, the criteria for confirming a continuation of short-term upside would need to be a close above yesterday's high. Yesterday's high being 71,725. So Bitcoin actually testing both sides of the range yesterday. But ultimately holding. On the other hand, if Bitcoin does close below yesterday's low, 68,300 or so, then I would be looking for another retest of the median, which is now at low $66,000, about 66,300 or so. And if that fails, then probably looking all the way down to 64 and change. Anyways, now that we've gone through that, let's get into the statistics of the quarter. So first things first, we are looking at election years here, which also happen to correlate quite well with what's it called? The halving. I mean, they do literally quite literally correlate with it, as all election years are halving years as well. Anyways, what I've done here is I've looked at specifically April's in those election years, and as you can see, just from checking out the chart very quickly here, all of them actually have been green in the past, which is interesting. If we were to actually look at a statistical analysis of that, we could see that April of election years did print on average a just over 14.25% gainer right there, which is kind of a lot. Now, I would say that this average is being dragged up by actually the most recent of Aprils in 2020, after Bitcoin was kind of crawling its way out of the Rona dump times, and that was a 34.25% gain. The other one's a little bit more muted compared to that, but going back into it right here, ultimately does kind of bode well for that, especially when you do compare that, Bitcoin in April is generally a good month anyways. As we went over a few videos ago, 9 out of the total 13 Aprils for Bitcoin were positive closing months and did return an average of about 22.5% when you omit the outliers there. So I do think that is, quite good correlation there as well, or what's the word I'm looking for? Confluence as well. Anyways, if we take that one step further, which we certainly should, we should now look at the quarterly chart for Bitcoin coming into that election year, the second quarter essentially. And what we can see here is something a little bit more interesting, in fact, or at least I think it's more interesting. As you can see that not only was the second quarter green every prior time, so that is 3 months total, but it's also quite green actually too. It doesn't look like actually much on this chart right here. But if we were to look at these statistics for that, specifically just the quarterly, which I have over here, we can see that actually all of the second quarters leading up into that election year were pretty damn good for Bitcoin, printing 37%, 61%, and 42% respectively for an average of 46.85%. I mean, that's a lot. To put that into perspective, assuming that Bitcoin closes, somewhere around here, because today is the last trading day of the first quarter for traditional markets, and of course, Bitcoin does trade over the weekend. I would imagine it's probably going to be somewhere around wherever Thursday does close again, because now you got ETFs in traditional markets and you got CME futures in traditional market schedule, essentially. So in this case, what would 40% to the upside look like? That would actually put Bitcoin at that highly esteemed, almost $100,000, which does play into one of our more long-term models here, which is projecting about 2 months out. I won't go over that in this particular video, but ultimately, Well, it just kind of plays into the long-term view that we've been having on this channel now, especially coming into this last month. That look, it's probably not the time to try to get cute with Bitcoin. Yeah, you might get a move to, you might get another try to the downside, maybe $60,000, certainly not out of the question, related to the Bitcoin production cost chart that we've gone over many times, which I won't go over in today's video. And then also, worst case scenario, maybe see a move down somewhere closer to $50,000, which these are, decent percentage moves. But generally speaking, at least from my perspective, if I'm thinking more long term, I just generally want to be allocated to this market right now, as seasonality and statistics and several other volatility-based setups are suggesting, higher generally over these next 3 months. Doesn't necessarily mean that all of them are, every day is going to be a green day. Like, obviously not. But the general trend here, could very well be your friend if you just let it be. Not only that, but kind of extrapolating onto this data, or on this data, we could now say that, hey, if the second quarter is most likely to be green, what is the 6-month chart going to be looking like? Well, at this point, the 6-month chart, which will close at the end of the second quarter, I mean, first off, Bitcoin has already made new all-time highs and is basically trading around the prior wick all-time high. In this case, I mean, very likely to continue on with that party. Again, anytime that we've seen Bitcoin even retest the prior all-time high on a 6-month chart, it's basically blasted through there. It hasn't really taken any long-term stops around that region. I'm calling out this region right here. Let me just circle it off. Boom. Calling out this one right here. This one right here. All these were just massive girthy green bulldozing dildos. And I'm sure that we have hidden bullish evidence here as well, actually. I actually just don't have the chart open right now, but that's okay. Anyways, my point is that long term, I don't think it's time to get super fucking cute with this market. So that's just my opinion, of course. This is not financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor, blah, 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 blah. You get the idea. And now we can get into, how deep in this video are we? 7 minutes. Actually, we will go into, let me see. Do I have it right here? No, I do not. We're actually going to go quickly into my regular charts. I just want to see that there is actually hidden bullish evidence building up here, or actually already confirmed, I do believe, on the quarterly. But, when you see hidden bullish evidence and you're already at all-time highs, yeah, and you're just seeing the quarterly RSI break into the bullish control zone for its first tick here, look, it's probably going higher. Not only that, but quarterly VMP getting that positive curvature and having the that light blue cyan color printed in the background, signaling that we have momentum and volatility kind of twisted in the same direction right there, and expanding at the same time. So, generally this is a setup likely for more, very likely for more long term. So fair enough. Just fucking enjoy it. Just enjoy it. And do we have anything different on CME? Probably not. I suspect, not really anything different right here. In fact, CME is already above prior all-time highs as of this moment. And again, it's basically going to close for today. Maybe it might trade a little bit tomorrow. I don't know if it trades on holidays because tomorrow's Good Friday, I believe. But either which way, closing above all-time highs on a quarterly time frame. What's going to happen coming into next quarter? Okay, so let me go over a little bit of fundamental market awareness, actually, is what I would call this. So big asset managers, big money managers typically make their big decisions and their big allocations on a quarterly basis. And how do they typically make their decisions as asset managers? Well, the general rule is that you sell your losers and you buy your winners. Has Bitcoin generally been a winner in the last few months since this year started? You already know where I'm going with this. New money comes in this market, on the first of the month. Just putting 2 and 2 together. I mean, this is a setup for continuation, along with traditional markets as well. How much more does it have to go? I don't fucking know, but it has more to go until it doesn't. And really, the next major skill within this market is going to be deciphering when we do see long-term trends start to turn around. Which, by the way, we won't know until the actual ultimate high is already in. Despite what anyone might be telling you, we can make models upon it. It's completely fine, but at the end of the day, The thing that matters most is trend. That is the number one thing up above anything else by a country mile. Anyways, I do want to let you know if you are in the what's it called, the Krown Quant automation services, which allows you to backtest and automate trading. I did just post a new setup right here. You can see it in the background here. This is a 30-minute setup backtested over the past 4 years for Bitcoin. You'll find that in the Discord section for new setups in the forum. And in this one, it's just another good example of a strategy that doesn't really have like a super high win rate. It's just over 56%. But because risk is managed, I think quite well in this one, the equity curve is extremely smooth and extremely up and to the right. In fact, I'll remove my head as well just to show that this one's like, in my opinion, about as good as it's about as good as I'm going to see. Of course, maybe you can make one better as well. In fact, you can't, you can try, of course, too. And with this tool, the Krown Quant automation, you can test any strategy that you can really think of anyways. So again, this is on sale with the code, what's called Happy60 in all capitals. Again, make sure not to yell at Elsa when you're asking for access or for any reason, really. I don't know, this screws you over, but probably not going to happen. And I just want you to know that it's the biggest discount that we'll ever for this service. I want to be as loud as possible going into the end of this month where that discount period will end. We're not going to offer this big of a discount ever again. It's for all the payments as well. So again, I know that I'm shilling it pretty hard, but this is, in my opinion, it's the best service, that I've experienced. It allows you to fucking backtest your trades for as much as you can, and then automate them as well. I mean, just for fuck's sake. Anyways, enough shilling on that. What else do I want to say? You can also see a performance table by month here as well. And this one, I mean, even looking at this backtest period right here, it goes through 2020 and 2022. Like, that's a black swan. That's multiple black swans actually in a full-on bear market too. So surviving through that is typically a good sign. And you can see over here, generally long-term, I mean, that's when these strategies start to work for you. It's just consistency long term. And of course, I also want to say that for the people who are actively trading right now, kind of correlating back to just my personal views on this market, which generally goes higher and generally want to be allocated there, just for myself. Everyone's going to be different, but one of the beautiful things about cryptocurrency land is that you can trade the inverse perp. So you can be holding the underlying asset, in this case, Bitcoin. So you're not just trading, you're also holding it. So you're getting, kind of the best of both worlds. Anyways, I'm going to end off on that note. It's been an absolute pleasure on this nice little Thursday morning. Elsa, do you want to do the honors? All right. Elsa has a message for everyone, especially the people who are not so kind. Fuck you, and I'll see you tomorrow. All right, take care.